What's going on YouTube? So if you watch my channel from the beginning, you know I made a video kind of talking shit about BMW in my M4 that I wasn't the biggest fan of. And to this day, I still have like 12-year-olds with BMW in their username just attacking my channel. But it has died down a little bit. So when a friend of mine that's looking to buy a 2018 Raptor asked me if he could trade me his M6 Gran Coupe for my Raptor for a couple hours, I figured, why not, you know? It's time to stir the pot again. So I only have this thing for like 2 hours, but I'm gonna take it to get some coffee, and then let's find out if it's any good.
Joe, is that you?
Yeah.
What else for you, hon?
All right, guys, so I'm going into this completely unbiased, or at least as unbiased as I can, so I just need you guys to trust me on that one. So BMW's 6 Series, which is a two-door car, has been around for quite a while, but they didn't have anything to compete with like the RS7, CLS 63 Coupe from Mercedes, so they needed like an in-between coupe and sedan car. So what they did was they stretched out the 6 Series, they gave it 4 doors, and they dropped a 4.4 liter V8, fed by 2 turbos. This thing's pushing out over 560 horsepower, 500 torque. It's quick. And you pair that with, I can't believe I'm gonna say this, but possibly the second best transmission in the business. I don't want to say it's as good as a PDK, but honestly, I'd have to drive them both back to back to tell a difference. Even in complete auto mode, you have all these settings and stuff. I can go through and change like timing of the shifts and everything, but it's a very good transmission. So you pair all this together, and you have some extreme amounts of power. Jesus Christ. For how big this car is, it gets up and goes. That was 60 to 130 like it was nothing. Oh, this motor is so good. I really wish this is what should have been in the M4. You still have that V8 rumble, it still sounds incredibly good. And on top of that, you can hear those turbos spool up, and you kind of get to hear the turbos a little bit. It's a very unique sound, but it's also a very good sounding car. Handling for a big 4-door coupe is actually not bad. This thing's rear-wheel drive, so you wouldn't think it would stick like that in the corner, especially accelerating out, but it'll definitely slide around a little bit on you, but it's fun though. I like that in a car. I will say under hard acceleration in the rain or the snow, you're pretty much fucked. Even on these dry roads right now, the traction control light is just like strobing on and off every time I give it power. And these are relatively new tires as well. It's just a lot of torque going to a rear-wheel drive only car. Interior is, a lot of people aren't gonna agree with me on this one, but I feel like BMW interiors were very nice for a long time. And then they just kind of didn't change. Like everyone else kept updating, and they went to like the quilted interiors and everything else, and BMW was just like, no, we got it down. And I think that worked for a couple years, but now it's getting to the point where it's just a little plain, it's a little plasticky, you know, there's not a whole lot of like luxurious materials in here. The buttons and everything feel really nice, but just in general, I don't know, I want something more out of a $120,000 car. You know, I never did really understand this class of car. And while I may not understand them, I can say that I love the looks of these cars. So this whole like 4-door coupe thing, which doesn't really make any sense, is producing some of the most beautiful cars I've ever seen. The Audi RS7 is a great looking car. The CLS 63 is a great looking car. But I think I gotta give it to the M6. I was sitting outside this thing looking at it earlier, and it's like, I think this is possibly the best looking BMW ever made. I'm not a huge fan of the i8, I'm sorry. I know you guys, you know, are gonna hate me about that, but the body lines on this thing, like the 6 Series, in my opinion, looks better with 4 doors. In the normal 6 Series, it does not look this aggressive. On the Gran Coupe, it's just like the proportions of the wheels and the bumpers and the mirrors and everything, just, it works so well. I think I know why I like this car so much. There's nothing to compare it back to. The M6 Gran Coupe, this is it. This is the first one of its kind. So there's nothing to really compare it back to. There's nothing for me to say like, oh, they could have done so much better because I've seen what they could do in the past. This is the first one. Same with the new M2. I got to drive one of those. I'm gonna review one in the future, but I absolutely love that car. And again, there's nothing to compare it back to. The M4 and the M5 are great cars, brand new, how they are right now, if you didn't know what they could have done in the past. The E92 M3 Coupe is so much better in my opinion. I know it's a little bit slower, but just the way it was set up, the way it handled itself, the balance of that car was just amazing. And the engine, again, while it was slower, it sounded incredible. The throttle response was so good. And then they came out with the M4. And if the M3 Coupe never existed, M4 Coupe would be a great car. But since I know what they have done in the past, that's where my problem lies, is that the M division is no longer really like keeping their heritage at all. Now, as shocking as it may sound, this is a whole different story. There's nothing for me to look back on and say, oh, it could have been so much better. This is it right here. Just in the last 2 hours of driving this thing, I can easily say this is by far my favorite BMW. This is probably where I'm gonna end this video. Hopefully you like this style. Sometimes it's nice to just go out and drive by myself and I don't have to rely on a cameraman or anything else. So it makes it so I can't really do rolling shots. It's kind of impossible for me to drive my truck and be in the back of it to film this and have this drive itself, maybe in the future at some point. Like, share, subscribe. Also, if you guys do me a favor and hit the notification bell, turn on notifications so you guys get notified when I post new videos. I'll be doing another video probably tomorrow or Sunday with the Raptor. I'm not sure yet. There's a car show in the morning, so I'll figure out something to do. But yeah, I appreciate you guys watching this video and I'll catch you guys in the next one.